Good morning, traders. Morning, good morning. Well, we had one of those days where the market just moved up. No pullback. My game plan, my hope was for it to come back to this support area at like 25, 550-ish. That would have been a sweet pullback. Nope, it just went straight up. So let's see what we get today. I'm going to draw a volume profile from the overnight session, see if that helps give us any areas. So if this thing just continues going up, this is an area of consolidation that it could bounce off of. If it drops below that, we could see that pullback that we're watching for. Gonna stay patient, see what the market open brings us. What is that same thing looking like for ES? Really hasn't been much movement during the London session. It's kind of been choppy, really. How do I pull up the volume profile from the overnight session so fast? I use the fixed range volume profile button. So it's actually off my screen, but I have it on my favorites toolbar down here. If you can see that. So if you come over here to the left under your projections tools, the fixed range volume profile, I just put a star next to it so it's faster to access. And then I just click starting at the 6 p.m. candle over to the current. That's how I did it. Where is our regular trading hours? That's another thing I'm going to mark off. So RTH is down here. Because that could be something to watch out for. So that's what we got right now. I don't love it that we kind of just keep floating up. I know it's just wishful thinking on my end because it's easier to trade when we get a pullback, but that's what I would like to see. Previous week's value area high, and if you zoom out to the 1 hour, you can see this resistance up here. So for me, just the risk to reward on longs right now is not good because there's lots of room for it to pull back if it's going to happen. And the upside is just not there. I mean, unless you think it's going to like rocket up past all of this resistance. But I wouldn't necessarily want to bet on that. It is above the anchored VWAP from the all-time high. I have it anchored in the wrong spot there. Still, it's above the anchored VWAP from the all-time high. It broke through that yesterday. So it's definitely bullish. I just don't like taking longs from way up here. Cheechamus, you need more sleep or more coffee. So still kind of hovering at that overnight point of control. Hasn't moved much. So if we go down first at the market open, we do have VWAP right there. And then really some more areas down here. This is a high volume node, this gray area that I have marked off. And this white dotted line is the RTH gap. So if we're going to get a pullback, I think I'd rather wait for it to come down here, but we shall see. I just hope we get more volume and volatility than we did yesterday. That was no fun. Morning from Costa Rica. How's it going? The volume was non-existent yesterday. Yeah, I kind of expected that because it was a bank holiday in the US, Veterans Day. So I figured it would be slower than normal. I did not expect it to be like nothing. It was worse than trading the Asia session. Good morning, good morning. So really for me, still looking for pullbacks to enter long unless the market just opens crazy hard down to the downside. But as long as we stay above this area of support that we created yesterday, it was actually already there. This high volume node was actually already here, and then we traded even more in it yesterday. So from like 25,500 to 25,550, that's going to be a tough area to break to the downside. So looking for longs if we stay above that area. But don't want to jump into any longs from up here. Would like to see it come down a little bit. Oh, awesome. Well, Zach, welcome. Glad you found it helpful. I would like to think that I'm willing to explain anything. So feel free to ask questions. If I like enter a trade or mark something off or whatever, let me know if you have questions. Starting to drop below this point of control from overnight. Yeah, no red folder news today, just a bunch of speakers. We'll see what they have to say. Hopefully nothing crazy. Got over 6K. Let's go. Still hovering in this area. Man. Maybe come down to fill the regular trading hours gap and then go up. See if that plays out. All right, market's open in about 30 seconds. Trade safe today, guys. Manage that risk. Be patient. Bring it on down. Come on. That's what I want. That's what I want. Okay, this is good. I did not want it to just go to the moon from here. That would have not been fun to trade. There's VWAP. Let's see if we get a bounce here or if it keeps coming down to at least that RTH gap. $675 is where it's at on NQ and $68.78 on ES. I don't normally do this, but I did jump in on an open momentum trade. Just down to that gap fill. Let's see if we get it. Almost there. Oh, come on. Did I mark my gap fill at the wrong spot, or is it just not going to go all the way down? Don't do that to me. 10 points away. You can do it. Come on. Be a scalper and jump? I'm considering it. Definitely thought about it. Patience paid off. Got it. Oh, man. Watch, now this thing's just gonna keep dumping. Shoulda left a runner. I know. That's all right. I'll take it. $1,000 in the bank. Not a bad way to start. That was 4 minutes. Ugh. What was my target? 675. That was the RTH gap. ES has not filled its gap yet, so there definitely could be more downside. I don't know if that wasn't really a scalp. That was 97 points. I don't know if there's an official definition of a scalp, but I would think that's more like 10 to 20 points. Well played. You wouldn't let it run more. Yeah. I was already, like, I almost never take trades within the first minute of the open. So I was already sweating it a little bit, and I'm like, I'm just going to take my profits. And it is bouncing there. So could have even reversed into a long. But again, didn't want to push it. Now it's time to be smart. Yeah, that makes sense, Kevin. Not just the points, but the time in the trade. What's the definition? I mean, I know there's like micro scalps where it's seconds, but I would say, yeah, scalpers are what? 1 minute, maybe, or less. All right, here is the anchored VWAP for the New York session. If that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what does. All right, guys, hit that like button. Let's go. Good way to start the morning. As of now, this is our opening range low. ES got a bounce, and it's actually reclaiming VWAP. It never came down to its RTH gap. NQ did. Kind of just chopping around this level. It looks like it wants lower. Could see more downside. NQ and ES are not matching up at this point. I don't love that. Risk to reward on a long here is actually really good because I have a very clear stop loss. And the fact that ES is going up, NQ could be on its way to follow. See if it goes back up to the range high. Stop loss right below 68.75. Come on, let's see if we get this bounce. Still holding down here. Nope, that hit my stop loss. That's all right. It was just a 13-point stop loss, so small risk. But it does look like it's going to see more downside. And now ES is rejecting that opening range high also. 4 more minutes until this opening range is set. Do I count for liquidity sweeps? Yes. I love watching for liquidity sweeps. Was that yesterday or 2 days ago? There was a beautiful trade either yesterday or 2 days ago where it was a London low liquidity sweep and it moved all the way back up to the initial balance high. It was a beautiful trade. I definitely like watching for those. ES is still sitting at VWAP. Let's see if it holds here and bounces or if it does end up going down. That would make it a lot easier to trade if there is going to be more downside, honestly. If this thing gets heavy, it could come all the way back down to this 500, 550 level that I was talking about. That I was kind of hoping it would come down to last night, and it didn't. This is an area of chop from the end of yesterday's session and last night. So if it holds below this, we could see more downside, but it also could be an area that it bounces. ES is getting below VWAP again. Watching for a short, because if this thing is not going to hold that support level, 500 to 550 is where I would be targeting, and that's good risk to reward. Coming down to this area is what I would be watching for. Looking decent for it. Like I said, it's falling below that chop zone from last night. ES is dropping below VWAP. NQ is kind of just a slow grind down right now. All right, I'm entering short, 645.75. Whoa, that was quick. Okay. Good timing on that. See if it comes back down to point of control, 519. So the top of the high volume node is 550. Point of control is at 519. The bottom of it is 500. Opening range low is at 637. Oh, I don't want it to bounce all the way back up there. Angelica, that's just a high volume node zone that I have. So I use the visible range volume profile, but there was just a lot of trading and chop in this area. But really, if we don't hold that 500 level, NQ's in trouble. We could come down to like 250, 25, 250. Yeah, the gap from Monday, I think, is 232 or something like that. You're talking about like from the Friday night to Sunday open? Yeah, it's at like 230-ish. That's why I'm saying if we don't hold this level, like we have previous day low at 478, but if it drops below this support level, it very well could come down to that 230. I mean, that's a massive move in one day. I'm not saying it's going to happen in one day, but there's a lot of room down. Man Smooth, do you think it's going to catch the Friday night to Sunday open gap? I don't know. It's another 400, 300 from here, 350. Jeez. Ah, come on, don't bounce here. Keep going, keep going. Yeah, I can see it. I'm on the 30-minute on this one. I just don't know if that'll all happen in one day. Unless there's some speaker talking about something really bad right now that's making the market go down. I haven't been watching Financial Juice. There is a Fed speaker right now. What is he talking about? I don't see any big red announcements popping up. I'm torn on this. Like, I know it's going lower. And I want to give it to some room to breathe, but it's just going to bounce up and hit my stop loss. ES is coming back up to that opening range low and rejecting. So let's see if NQ starts to pull back down too. There's the anchored VWAP from the low. We're going to break below it. There we go. Added stop loss. I'm going to move back to 614. Now that I've added to the position, I'll be able to leave some runners. Come on. Don't mess up on me. Yeah, jacked T's. That's why this is where a lot of my TPs are. And I have that support structure drawn up on my chart over here. ES is at point of control. We have lots of trading here. I think this is where it's headed. Could be an area for a little bit of a bounce. All right. I'm going to close it out. Yep. Just watching ES over here getting a bounce at point of control. It could be heading up a little bit higher. I'd rather just lock it in. I can always re-add. No, G-Man, it wasn't momentum. It was the fact that we were getting heavy. So I got in this spot right here. We were breaking below this support area. I was already kind of watching for shorts anyway. We broke below this support and ES was breaking VWAP. So those two things were happening at the same time, and that's why I got out or got into the short. All right, so I closed out this one before it hit my stop loss. Still watching for shorts, but again, ES was bouncing at point of control. I didn't manage that trade very well. Kind of screwed that one up. ES is coming up to that opening range low and VWAP area. Let's see if it rejects there. We could potentially watch for the same on NQ. Opening range low and VWAP area. ES came up, it's starting to wick down. Let's see what NQ does. It's at an interesting spot here. Why do I think I screwed up that trade? Because I added a little bit too aggressively, so it messed up my average position. So then my profit only ended up being like $150 when I at one point got up to an unrealized profit of like 600 or something like that. So got too aggressive there. All right, have a good one. Let's see if it rejects this area. ES is at the session VWAP, and NQ is at the anchored VWAP and opening range low. Good spot for it to come back down if it's going to. All right, let's try again. Not looking great for the rejection. ES and NQ are just both at a good spot, or like I said, if it's going to go back down, it should happen somewhere around here. I'll give it a little more room. Come on. Alrighty. Dow's coming back down now, so ES and NQ will probably go up. Yeah, maybe. Alrighty. Well, that didn't work out. We headed back up to the top of the range now? Where are we going? Yeah, Kimmer, I'm not convinced that we're just gonna like go to the moon. Kind of watching to see what happens at VWAP up here. Possibly. Yeah, if it rejects a VWAP, possible short. I'd like to see what ES is doing too. I don't know though, this is a pretty big bounce. It's also interesting that, I don't know, ES and NQ are not quite at the same spot. Like NQ still has a ways to go to get to VWAP, and ES is kind of chopping around it right now. So I'd like to see what the two of them are doing together. Well, that's slightly annoying. Looks like it's gonna reject here. Now I feel like I'd be chasing it at this point. So this is the low for ES at point of control. Let's see if it breaks below that and continues. Oh, it's getting heavy. Like I said, if NQ doesn't hold this 500 to 550 zone, it's going down hard. I think it'll get to the 300s, perhaps. All right, have a good one. ES is making a new low. All right, chat. Did anyone get in on that short? I managed to mess it up a little bit. The idea was right, but I didn't have my stop loss in the right spot. Who else got in on it? Let's go. $6.43 was your entry. What? That's a great entry. Nice job. Well, if NQ and ES are going to actually move in tandem, like I said, ES is making new lows. NQ's coming soon. Coming down to this 500 level. That's what I think. And then at that point, we'll see if it holds. Broke below the low of day anchored VWAP with some volume. That 2-minute candle right there is a pretty high volume candle. Let's see if it continues. I'm debating an entry. The stop loss would just be so high. I don't love it. I think I'm just going to let this one go because I already had that great trade from the open. I don't want to give back profits. So I'll wait for a better entry if one comes. Lockout mode for you. There you go. I love Project X for that, for the lockout. Definitely makes it easier and more doable to like have the discipline that you need as a trader. You don't have to rely on your own discipline. You can just lock yourself out and then can't trade anymore. So good. Goodness, it got choppy. We had that one big move at the open for the first like 15 minutes. 20 minutes. It moved really well for about 20 minutes. And it's kind of just been chopping around since then. ES kind of peaked below that point of control for a bit, but it's holding it right now. I still think it's going lower ultimately today. It's just a matter of how much it's going to chop around and what the range is going to be before it continues lower. On the open, it was 5 contracts at the open. All right, ES is making it look like we're going down. Let's see if NQ follows. Max contracts, I don't base it on a number of contracts. I just base it on the risk. So roughly $200 risk per trade. 200 to 250 depending on how much drawdown I have in my accounts. So I just use the risk to reward tool right here. Like on this short, I could have taken as many as 7 contracts and it still would have been within my $200 risk. That's how I base my sizing. How do I know to enter so early in the open? I am probably not the best person to answer this question because I almost never trade right at the open. I usually wait at least 5 minutes or so, if not longer. But this time, I took a short right at the open. I was actually in a position like 30 seconds into the open, just based on momentum and the fact that I wanted it to come down to fill the gap. And then I saw a lot of targets further down. So it was a momentum trade, and I wasn't going to give it that much. If it started to move the other direction at all, I would have just killed the trade. Yeah, very so a lot of times like this other trade, the stop loss was 31 points. So my contract size was 3. Usually anywhere from, I don't know, 20 to 30 point stop loss is average. All right, 5 minutes until our 60-minute initial balance is set. I don't really like the idea of longing right here though at initial balance low if it comes down. Like normally initial balance would be a decent range trade setup. But if it comes all the way down here, I would kind of be watching for it to come lower. When I'm in a trade, do I trail my stop loss into profit? Yeah, I do. So I usually scale out. Like if you saw the trade I was taking earlier, this one at like 8:45, 9:45 Eastern. I had a target set at 550. I had a target set at point of control around 520, and then I had a target set at 500. So I usually will scale out, and then as it starts to move further into profit, I will at least move my stop loss to break even. I don't usually trail it too tight because I want to give it room, but at least I'll make it so it'll be a break even trade if I'm wrong. I do like to do that when the opportunity is right. Following politics makes you grumpy? Yeah. The only politics I follow are on Financial Juice. When it just tells me if there's red folder news or anything that will like affect futures and how I'm trading. Other than that, I don't want to know what's going on. Probably sounds terrible, but I'd rather stay in my little bubble with my friends and family. I don't like watching the news and just hearing about all the negativity in the world. I like to assume that people are good, and the news just makes it seem like everyone's evil. I'm in the US. I'm in Texas. Come on, NQ. Why are you not dropping like ES is? What's going on? Mag 7's pretty much all red. Gold's just moving up. You said there is orders higher on gold? Yeah, I could see that. Verisat, you are a brave soul. You're gonna short? Does that giant green candle just make you want to short it? Oh my gosh. There might be something wrong with your brain. I hope you know I'm just messing with you. When I say things like that online without really like knowing people and having them know me and know that I'm kind of like a sarcastic person, I'm like, I hope they know I'm joking. An average person, you're asking about platforms in Canada. Most of the places I trade are available in Canada too. So I trade with prop firms, which if you're not familiar with prop firms, it's basically a way for you to like trade with, they call it sim funds, simulated money. It's kind of the idea of like paper trading ish, but you can still take payouts. All of them are available in Canada. So any of the ones on the screen that you can see, Tradeify, Alpha Futures, Lucid, TradeDay, any of those. If you're not familiar with prop firms and you're curious, you have questions, feel free to join my Discord and DM me. I'm happy to help. But they all have different variations of rules for like how to qualify for a payout and stuff. Yes, but there is something wrong with your brain. Oh, G-Man, you are in a long on gold? Good for you, man. All right, Praddock, have a good day. Take care. All right, so we do have our initial balance officially set. ES is kind of hovering at its initial balance low. NQ is not coming down like ES is. Silver is booming. I haven't watched silver at all. I don't even have it on my list over here. I would assume, is silver similar to gold? Like, are they pretty correlated? That would be my guess. Oh, G-Man, are you moving your target to 4,200? You said originally 4,188. Dang. Let's go. Is this in a funded account, G-Man, or are you trying to pass one of your Lucid challenges still? I don't remember if you passed those or not. Yeah, there you go. Targeting 4,200 or my consistency profit number. That's a huge move from gold. Look at her go. All right, ES is dropping well below IB low. NQ is following. So at this point, I didn't find a great entry up here. So I'm not going to chase it. I'm going to watch and see what happens at this 500 level. Yesterday's value area low, 503-ish, and also this high volume node. If it bounces here, possible long opportunity. If it falls below, we're going down to that 230 level I was talking about. Getting back up above IB low for NQ. ES is not even close. Looks like ES has a lot further down to go to hit these same levels that NQ is kind of close to. So that's interesting. Where is the gap on ES? Oh, wow. All the way down at like 67, 60s. I don't believe that'll happen today. All right, that's a pretty big bounce. Is it going to be a failed auction? NQ reclaimed that initial balance low. Interesting. Where is our point of control? That's what I figured. Most of the price action has been in here, so we're kind of sitting at point of control right now. See if it goes back down. Have fun with homeschool math. Yeah, I feel like once my kids get into high school and they're doing like calculus and stuff, I'm going to need to hire a tutor. Actually, I take that back. Math is my thing. Like, I did really well in math in school. But when it comes to like writing papers and stuff, that's the part that I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know. Ask ChatGTP on that one. Good morning, Maria. Day's going well. I caught a short at the open, which was a great trade. Took a small loss trying to long off of that support level. And then this trade right here hit my trailing stop loss. So in profit, but small profit on this one. And then a small loss here. So 2 losses, 2 wins. This could be the spot where we get more continuation down. Session point of control right here. Kind of close-ish to VWAP, not all the way up. And ES is kind of starting to look like it wants to reject this initial balance low. I still think there's more downside possibility, even if it just comes down to 500, this 500 level. What's gold doing, G-Man? Still kind of hovering. Do you have any runners left, or did you close out your position? Oh, you said out now. Yeah, doesn't look like it's coming back down anytime soon. Oh, you do have some runners left. Nice. Good stuff. Gosh, 10 micros on gold, that's such a huge position. That would scare me. Yeah, with the Asia session, I could see doing bigger size. Is the range of those moves bigger or smaller? Or is it about the same, like between Asia gold and New York gold? I'm not telling you how many I had short because it was really dumb. Oh, well, I'm not a scalper, so I mean, don't take this as advice, but I feel like if you're gonna make any money with scalping, you have to size large because you're only looking for a couple points. So it almost would be like an all or nothing kind of thing. Like, I'm going big on this one. That's probably why I'm not a scalper, because I don't know how to do it properly. And for me, it would just be gambling. Like 50-50 chance, throw on 15 contracts and see if it goes in my direction. That sounds scary. My cortisol levels would be insanely high if that's how I traded. Oh man, I can't even imagine. Would not be good to have anyone check my heart rate during that time. All right, at this point, I'm not looking for longs here because I do feel like there's more downside, but I don't want to short just because the risk to reward isn't good for what I'd be wanting. Tried this short here, and the general idea was right. It just came up and stopped me out before continuing down. But for me, if I was to get in a short here, I would need to put my stop loss like above this chop zone. And really, I would be targeting the 500 level, and that's not even a 2-to-1 risk to reward. So not going to get in a short. Right now, what I'm going to do is set an alert at value area low from yesterday. So right at like 504. And if we get down to this level, I'll watch for a reaction. I would stay patient though. It could bounce here. It also could come down to previous day low, just because NQ does like to do those liquidity grabs where it like wicks down below and then goes up. So if we're going to get a bounce, it would be in this general area. But again, I'm going to be careful with that because if it doesn't hold here, there's a lot of downside left. But right now, I don't really want to take a trade in this chop. I'm not seeing anything that's a great opportunity. So I think I'll call it there. But I'll be hanging out in Discord too if you guys want to share any trades that you're taking. And then I'll be back live tomorrow, as always, at the New York Open. Have a good one, you guys. Thanks for joining. It's always fun hanging out with you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.